Hello. There's always something that is an exception to the rule. Now, generally, I will give a like to a video indiscriminately, shall we say. So even if I don't agree with what the video says, I appreciate the time and the effort that's been put into making a video. But like I say, there isn't always an exception to the rule. This has sort of got under my skin, and what started off as just feeling like a stab in the heart. I think of that tarot card with the heart with the sword going right through it. But then that sort of started to get acidic, and it turned to like seething rage inside it. So I'm venting this out, but in doing so, I want to turn this into something positive. This reality is all about vibration, so I'm putting out a disturbance in the vibration because there's been an awful disturbance. Now, what am I referring to? I'm referring to Old World Florida Channel's live stream with a guest, which I'm not even going to mention that channel because, like I've said on previous videos, I look for patterns and things. I see the same agitation that led to the Russian Revolution, the same hand, shall we say, behind this, when it comes right down to it. Right, credit where credit is due. Now, I have high regard for Old World Florida. I agree with a lot of what is shown. Specifically, the England flag. It's a cross. It's representing the meeting of the runic and the phonetic, where it comes back together, pointing to Florida being the sort of cradle of the earth. The Saxa stones, 5-ton ship's anchors of stone with a perfectly bored out hole. The video he did on Jekyll Island. I've watched these and they're very good, and I appreciate the time and the research that he's done into those. This live stream, and it's not the first time this has happened, I've made a video previously calling for let's have a bit of sensibility about this. Attacking information because it's not right is one thing. Attacking a person for whatever reason is something else. Taking things out of context could almost imply slander. I'm no expert on the law, but there are things that have been said that could be taken as being slander. But it's the disappointment of this that really gets under my skin. Because I don't want to be seeing things like that. I end up watching it all the way through. I kept jumping 20 seconds every now and again, putting it on 1.5 speed. Because I thought, I can't watch this for 4 hours. I don't like it from the word go. And I then have to question why I don't like it. Is it because something I believe in? But the more I listen to it, it's like this is just a nasty, vicious attack. And this, Dr. Narco Longo, is directly to you. You say you are Christian. Does it not say, and is it not the Jesus Christ character who says about be ye not a judge lest ye be judged yourself? I'm not up on the scriptural quote or where to even find it in the Bible, and I really can't be bothered. Let's put this into context, shall we? I can readily think of the composer Richard Wagner. I can think of Claude Debussy, French impressionist, writer of some of the most beautiful impressionist music, my opinion, but an opinion shared by a lot of people. Things like La Mer, the sea, it's a beautiful depiction. But if you look at Claude Debussy, the man, he had an appalling track record with women that even went out into the public in the French press. I don't know what the truth of it is about 19th century perceptions and this whole idea of this Victorian prudishness. So, but suffice to say that that was put out in public, airing dirty laundry in public. And I can think of Franz Liszt, who had a track record with various women. I can think of Richard Wagner, and didn't treat his friends very well. But all these great composers, I can only speak about composers because they're the only ones I know sufficiently about to use this as a comparison. Look at what they gave the world. Wagner's Ring is basically the same core story as what's in the Bible. It's about unconditional love at the end of the day. It's about transmuting, it's about transcending, it's about ascending. But this sort of thing is something else. And we're not talking about an ongoing series of crimes here. We're talking about a crime, someone who's 17 years old. Let's give you another analogy. Now, if you were a 17-year-old boy and your hormones are raging, and there's a 15-year-old girl who's very well developed, who's giving you all the come-ons. Now, if things went wrong, I'm pretty sure in most countries 16 is like the cut-off age, and you'll be classed as a sex offender. Just on that, and you would have that burden for the rest of your life. Would that be fair? The law will come down like an axe, but things aren't always clear-cut. There's always, every now and again in the news, for whatever reason, there's always someone being pardoned or being given a huge payout because they were wrongfully imprisoned, or you could be like the Sami tribe in the north of Scandinavia, and you could just get an apology from the Roman Catholic Church for basically offing an entire culture and an entire way of life. This is what I find sort of ironic in a way. It's the citing about hypocrisy and things. But can you not see, there's also a beautiful lesson in this in reflection, because if you're saying you're Christian, it comes back to, well, who are we to judge? Let whoever is without sin cast the first stone. This being has been far from being an angel. Things happen, and let's face it, part of Jason Bashir's childhood was in a very strict religious Christian upbringing. What's that say about that? Because that will obviously play a part in the shaping and forming. But let's look at the bigger picture here, shall we? People love history. They want to know where things... Again, Dr. Narco Longo, you actually said this on that live stream, that you get people asking you for specific dates. On a previous video, I have said that Jason could be a gatekeeper. The reason I say that is not because Jason is a gatekeeper, is because if people get stuck on chronology and history and worrying about the past, which is gone, it stops them doing the inner work. Everything we cast out, it has an effect. It plants seeds in people's minds. This is just causing division. I don't know about anybody else, but from what I perceive of this reality, before you're even a fully formed fetus, things are stacked against you. As soon as you pop out, you've got to be registered, you've got to have a sample of blood taken, then you're put in an education system and so on, then you get all the default programming. Yeah, it's a wonderful system. It teaches us how to manifest. It teaches us how to manifest the very things we don't want. It teaches us, or hides the fact that we have this enormous power to generate and radiate out. But what are we radiating out? I was in two minds whether to even do this, and I've spoken to Dawn, and I said, could you ask Jason, would he mind if I made a video that is... I'm not exactly defending Jason here, but I'm not going to condemn him on something that happened way back. Move past the personalities. I think it's fair to say if I actually met Jason face to face, the chances are that we wouldn't be best buddies. I don't know. But I'm not going to let the superficial get in the way. And I'd like to also look at the bigger picture and look at what these seeds from making live streams like this. There is a huge difference with what Jason is doing, calling out the likes of Billy Carson and Graham Hancock, because when he is able to show that you've got a dating system is in place, but of course it throws out a lot of what they said, but they're not man enough, or they're unable for whatever reason to respond and defend their position as to why they think this Atlantis happened 11,000 years ago when clearly it didn't. That's getting off topic a little bit really, because that's misleading a lot of people. We're in an age where, as Rudolf Steiner puts it, this fifth post-Atlantean epoch or era, whatever you want to call it, it's about individualism, about becoming individual rather than being groupthink. But then there's that coming together again, which leads to the sixth. But it's not going to happen. It's actually going to delay it more if there's more division caused. How many channels talk about divide and conquer, and that's the tactic that's always used? So does putting out that video really help? Look at what is being presented, the information. Move past all this character assassination nonsense. That's not helping. That's just causing division. The word errant, I can argue the case for it being the right term. Error and ant, we're perceived as ants, we're occupants, we're participants. We're seen as ants, as playing small in this reality. But look at the Disney Pixar Bugs Life. If one of these ants wakes up, if one of those ants wakes up and there isn't division and they all come together, then yeah. But if there's division, those ants aren't going to come together. I'm just saying, I need to get this off my chest. It's just disappointment, that's all. But speaking personally, I have seen what human energy can do. A collective of 40 odd people all coming together. I've seen what the energy of humanity can do when it is all pulling together and it's positive. I don't need to point to what happens when it's not. Was it, the saying is, Christopher Wren said, if you want to see my monument, look around me, referencing St. Paul's Cathedral in that story. But if you want to see what divide and conquer does, just look around you, everywhere. Whatever you want to, order you want to put history in, or whether you want to go with a working chronology that is self-proving, that shows it's far more than human perception, and it is. And I'm giving a personal testimony on that because I've seen outside, and I don't care if nobody believes me. I know what I felt. That is the only place you're ever going to know, is what you feel inside yourself. But you've got to be sure of what you're feeling. Where is that feeling coming from? Is it coming from the heart, or is it coming from the thinking mind? Because that would do everything to put you back in a comfort zone. And the comfort zone for many seems to be being in conflict, always in conflict, seeing the world as conflict. What am I doing as well? I'm seeing a conflict outside of me. I've got to internalize this. Because it was like a mushroom cloud went off. That's how it felt like. When I see channels do this to each other, when there is more common ground between you than you actually realise. I'm seeing it from an outside perspective. I'm trying to stay impartial on this one. That's why I've said, Old World Florida channel, some fantastic videos, and I do appreciate your work. But I don't appreciate character assassinations. Others may not agree with me on this. I'm just giving an opinion, but more importantly, consider the ripples that go out. Divide and conquer is the tactic that's always used. So how does this help? Right. Serene and calm again. I've said my piece. I'm not going back to it. But, let me end on a more positive note here. Yesterday, I was thinking of a piece of music, and I didn't even have to find it on YouTube. It came on, or part of it came on the radio. I thought, within 2 minutes. Now, that's how quick the manifestation can come. I didn't have to put any real effort into it. I didn't have to put any real, well, not thinking thought into it, but the dialogue to the subconscious. This is all happening in the unseen. I mean, there's not, apart from the physical part of the radio and somebody scheduling that particular piece of music, that's part of how this reality works. That's just a little taster, a beautiful little taster. Anyway, I'm going to say unconditional love to you all. I've got that off my chest. And come together. Unity, please.